At exactly 6:10 every morning, the same man sat on the same bench outside the old train station in a small Midwestern town. Most people passed him without a second glance. Some didn't even notice him at all. To them, he was just another homeless man wrapped in a worn gray coat, staring at the ground as if he had already given up on the world. But his name was Thomas Miller, and once upon a time he had everything. Thomas used to wake up to the smell of coffee brewing in his kitchen, and the sound of his daughter laughing in the next room. He had a modest house, a steady job at a manufacturing plant, and a wife who never forgot to kiss him goodbye before work. Life wasn't perfect, but it was full. Full of voices, arguments, love, and plans for the future. Then slowly it all disappeared. It started with the factory closing down. Temporary, they said, but temporary turned into permanent. Thomas searched for work for months, doing everything from night shifts at gas stations to short-term construction jobs. Money became tight, stress grew heavier, and silence started filling the spaces where laughter used to live. Then came the accident. One rainy night, his wife was driving home from visiting her sister. A truck ran a red light. The phone call Thomas received that night split his life into two parts, before and after. His wife was gone before he even reached the hospital. Grief settled into the house like thick dust. His daughter, Emily, only 10 years old, stopped laughing. Thomas tried to be strong, but grief doesn't ask for permission. Bills piled up. The house slipped away. They moved into a small apartment. Thomas worked whenever he could, but something inside him had already started breaking. 2 years later, Emily got sick. What began as simple fatigue turned into hospital visits, tests, and words no parent should ever hear. Thomas spent nights sleeping in a chair beside her bed, whispering promises he didn't know how to keep. When Emily passed away, the world didn't just grow quiet. It went completely silent. After that, Thomas stopped trying. He didn't fight the eviction notice. He didn't answer phone calls. He didn't ask for help. One day, he simply walked out with a backpack and never went back. That's how he ended up on the bench outside the train station, day after day, year after year. People judged him without knowing him. Some assumed addiction. Others assumed laziness. But the truth was simpler and heavier. He had no family left, and he didn't see a reason to keep going. Until one winter morning, kindness found him. It was colder than usual, the kind of cold that burns your lungs when you breathe. Thomas sat shivering, his hands numb, wondering if this might be the day he just didn't wake up anymore. That's when a woman stopped in front of him. She was in her early 30s, wearing a navy blue coat and holding 2 cups of coffee. Most people hurried past, but she didn't. She crouched down so she was eye level with him and said, "Hey, you look freezing." Thomas didn't answer. He wasn't rude, just tired. She placed one of the coffee cups beside him anyway. "I'm Sarah," she said. "What's your name?" He hesitated, then replied quietly, "Thomas." Something about the way she said his name, like it mattered, made his chest ache. Sarah worked at a nearby community clinic. She had passed him every morning for months but never stopped before. That day something told her to. She didn't ask him why he was there. She didn't lecture him. She just talked. About the weather. About her job. About how her dad used to love old trains. Before leaving, she said, "I'll see you tomorrow, okay?" Thomas didn't believe her. But the next morning she came back. And the next. Sometimes with food. Sometimes just with conversation. Slowly, Thomas started talking too. Not all at once. Just little pieces. A sentence here. A memory there. Sarah never rushed him. She listened like every word was important. One afternoon she asked, "Do you have anywhere warm to stay tonight?" Thomas shook his head. That night changed everything. Sarah connected him with a local shelter run by a retired couple named George and Linda, who treated everyone like family. They didn't ask for explanations. They gave him a bed, a hot meal, and something he hadn't felt in years: safety. Rebuilding wasn't easy. Thomas struggled with guilt, depression, and the fear that he didn't deserve help. Some days he wanted to disappear again. But every time he pulled away, someone pulled him back. George taught him how to fix small appliances around the shelter. Linda insisted he eat breakfast with them every morning. "You're not invisible here," she told him once. "You matter." Those words stayed with him. Months passed. Thomas started volunteering at the shelter. Then came a part-time maintenance job. Then a small rented room. It wasn't the life he once had, but it was a life. One evening, Sarah invited him to a community dinner. Families filled the room. Kids laughed. The noise overwhelmed him at first. But then a little boy dropped his plate near Thomas's feet and burst into tears. Without thinking, Thomas knelt down, helped clean the mess, and made the boy smile again. The boy's mother said, "Thank you so much." In that moment, Thomas realized something powerful. Love hadn't disappeared from his life. It had just changed shape. Years later, Thomas no longer sits on the bench outside the train station. Instead, he stands there once a week, handing out coffee to people who do. He listens. He remembers names. He notices the invisible. Because he knows what it feels like to have no family left.